Hi everyone, today I'm going to be looking at how to find the most common element in a very large array like this. In fact, I'm going to show you how to find the most common element and the second most common element. Okay, so let's get started. I've already gotten the code here written, so let me just go ahead and explain it for you just to make it a bit faster. I've created a function here, and the function signature, I'm taking in a array of strings right here. That's an array of strings, and I'm outputting, and this looks a little weird, but let me explain what this is. I'm outputting two arrays. So that's an array right here, and that's another array right here. I'm outputting two arrays, and the arrays hold what we call tuples or tuples, depending on how you pronounce it. I pronounce it tuple. And the tuple essentially holds a string and an int. So this is an array of tuples, and this is an array of tuples, strings and integers. All right, so that's the function signature. And I've created three variables here. Dictionary, obviously a very regular dictionary of type string and of type int. It's empty right now. I've got most common element. It's an array of tuples. Second most common element, array of tuples. And the magic really happens all in here. So let me explain what this is. So this is a simple for loop and an if statement. So for index and array, well, what's our array? Array is an array of strings. So the index is going to be a string. So I'm iterating through all the strings, and I'm going string by string by string. And I have a simple if statement here. And this is our dictionary right here, which is of type string int. And what we're saying, remember, index is a string and count is an integer. So what we're saying is go to the dictionary and see if this index, if this string exists. Well, obviously the first time it starts, it doesn't exist. So this will not execute the first time because the dictionary has no strings. So if it doesn't have the current string, which our first string would be red, it's going to go to the else, and essentially we're adding the string and we're giving it a value of 1. Remember, the string is a key and the integer is a value. So we're adding the key red and we're giving it a value of 1. Okay, we iterate again. The second thing, oh, it happens to be a red. So this time the dictionary does have that string. So this if let does happen, and essentially what we're saying is take count and increment it by 1. So now red is going to be 2. And then if we go again, the third iteration is going to be blue, and blue doesn't exist. We're going to add blue as a key, and we're going to give it a value of 1. And then we go again and again and again. And this obviously will execute 505 times because there's 505 elements in this big array. So by the end of this, if I go ahead and print dictionary, and let me just call this up here. So if I go ahead and print dictionary, what you're going to see is it's going to say, oh, purple, we have the string purple, this key, and we found 107, pink is 92, yellow is 102, red is 102, and blue is 107. Great, so it went and counted all of them. So we have a dictionary essentially of all the elements that we have and their count. So just to show you an example, if I added another string here, let's call this white, watch what's going to happen. It's going to say white 1. Where is it? White 1, pink 92, so on and so forth. Great. So I've got the dictionary here, and what I'm going to do here in this one line, I've created a variable called sorted dictionary, and I'm sorting it here. So if I go and print sorted dictionary just so that you see what it looks like, and I run, it's going to show me the sorted dictionary from lowest to greatest because of this, and I'll explain what this is in a sec. So white is 1, pink is 92, red is 102, yellow is 102, blue is 107, and purple is 107. This, by the way, the sorted function takes in the Swift sorted function takes in like a closure, and this is a closure, and this is just shorthand for closures, the $sign. Essentially I'm saying compare the smallest value and compare the first value and the second value and sort them from smallest to largest. So if I did something like this, it would go from largest to smallest, and surely enough, blue's 107, purple's 107, 102, 102, 92, 1. So we're going to go from smallest to largest. That's what I want. Great. So that's one line. So let's go ahead and delete these two print statements. And so now by this line, by line 17, we have a dictionary that is sorted. here I've got two while loops that are essentially the same, and what I'm doing here is I'm taking the most sorted. Now, I technically don't know if there's a tie, and I purposely made this that there's a tie between purple and blue for the most common, and there's a tie for the second most common. And by the way, that's why we're returning an array of tuples and not just one tuple, because if there's a tie, you'll only return the last element, for example, but the last element, yes, it might have the most common element, but the second last could also have the most common element. It's a tie. So that's why I'm returning an array. If there's no tie, it'll be an array of one tuple. Anyways, so let me look at this and I'll explain what this is. So I've got a simple while loop here, and I'm saying go to the sorted dictionary and look at the sorted dictionary.count minus 1. So sorted dictionary.count minus 1 is actually the last element. Why? So let me explain something. So in an array, arrays are zero indexed, and same with essentially dictionaries. You start at 0. So what happens is in an array, if you have 10 elements, the dot count will say 10, but the 10 elements, it starts at 0. So the last element is actually 9. So in this case, dot count will give us an element that doesn't even exist. It's 1 over the last. So minus 1 is actually the last element. So I'm comparing the last element with the second last element. I'm comparing their values, right? And I'm saying if they're equal, go ahead and go to my most common elements, which is right here, which is empty right now, and append the last one. And go ahead and remove the last one right after. And do this as many times as you need until the last element and the second last element don't match anymore, okay? And then at the very end, I'm appending the last element, because the last element, once this is done, it takes all the last elements that are tied except the last one. So I go and add it again. I append the last element to the most common, and I remove the last element. And I essentially do this all over again. Well, why? Because this now will give me the second most common element, because right now I've removed up here, I've removed all the most common elements in the dictionary. So I'm going to do it again. It'll give me the second most common elements. If I want to find the most common, second most common, and third most common, all I have to do is do this again, essentially. So by the end of this, if I print, just to prove to you guys, if I print most common element, and if I print second most common element, I should have purple and blue at 107 each, and red and yellow at 102 each. So that's where I'm at here. And that's pretty much it. So we're done here. And all I'm doing is I'm returning the most common and second most common element. So when I run this, so if I print most common element, most common, which is the name of my function, right? And I pass in an array, which is my array, which is this whole thing. It's going to print the two arrays. It's going to print these two arrays right here, which is blue and purple, and it's going to print red and yellow. Now, if I actually wanted only one array at a time, what I could do is this. So I could put .0, which means give me the first tuple, and .1, which gives me the second. Because remember, what am I returning here? I'm returning two values. Sorry, not the first and second tuple. Give me the first return value and the second return value. If there is a third return value, I could go .2. There's 0 index 2. So if I print this, it'll give me in two lines blue, purple, and in the second line it'll give me red, yellow. And that's pretty much it. I could obviously not print this, and I could, for example, save this in another array, right? So watch. I could say let true most common equals most common my array.0, and I'm going to do the exact same thing here. Let true second most common equal most common.1, and if I print true most, if I print true most common, and if I print true second most common, I've got two arrays here that essentially hold the same thing, and I could access these arrays as I wish. So if I wanted to, just print the first element in that array, it'll only print purple 107, and I could use it in any way, shape, or form I want, right? And again, this is a tuple, so I could actually go 1.0 and it'll only print purple, right? So tuples are really cool and really useful. So hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you in another video. Have a great day.